Hello and welcome back to Procrasturbate Tech. Today I'll be showing you a few quality of life improvements that you can do to make Starlink work better with your pfSense router. These are small changes that will help with shortening the loss of connectivity during a dropout and enabling access to Starlink statistics and making it a lot more reliable. First of all, I wanted to thank my friend Ian, who was kind enough to offer his network engineering insights into how to make this work and what exactly these changes actually do, while we were enjoying a glass or several of red wine. Let's start off with the first improvement. We're going to instruct pfSense to ignore DHCP leases from Dishy itself, as well as unblock private network addresses over the WAN interface. Why are we doing this? Well, if you lose satellite connection, Dishy will provide a temporary DHCP lease for troubleshooting purposes, whilst connectivity has been re-established. We don't really need that because there's very little troubleshooting that we can actually do given the limits of what we can configure with Dishy. We only want leases from the CGNAT, which this doesn't block. We also want to unblock the private network addresses so we can directly access Dishy through our network. But more on this later. Once you've logged on to your router, navigate to Interfaces, then WAN, then scroll down to DHCP client configuration. Down here we want to reject leases from Dishy itself, so enter the IP address of Dishy, which is 192.168.100.1. Scroll down and under reserved networks, we want to ensure block private networks and loopback addresses is also unticked. Then hit save. Once you've hit save, you'll be prompted to apply changes. So click the apply button and that's it. Now in my last video I did mention that Dishy stats in the app did actually work. The only problem is they did take a while to actually display. Well, what we're going to do next is going to fix that, and it's also going to allow you to view those stats using a desktop computer. First thing we need to do is give our WAN interface a second IP address within the same subnet as Dishy's management IP. Now I'm dumbing this down a little. I'm also not a network engineer, so excuse the metaphors and not the most accurate description there. Again, thanks to Ian for helping explain all of this to me. Dishy is serving up two networks over the one cable. You've got the network or subnet it is bridging to you, which goes through the CGNAT and then onto the open internet. But you've also got a management network or subnet. Your pfSense router will be grabbing a DHCP lease from the bridge subnet so it can get to the internet. Because pfSense is doing some automated routing in the background, it knows how to get to the internet. But there's nothing stopping pfSense from having a second IP address on the WAN port and also being able to see the management network of Dishy. What we are going to do now is tell pfSense to set up a second IP address on the WAN port so it can talk to Dishy's management interface. Go to Firewall, Virtual IPs, and then click Add. The type we want is IP address. The interface that you want to select is WAN interface, and the address type is a single address, and the address you should use is 192.168.100.2 after the slash put 24. Lastly, put in a description. This can be something along the lines of Starnet subnet, Dishy magic IP address, or cheeseburgers. Really doesn't matter as long as you remember it. Click on save. You'll be prompted again to apply changes, so go ahead and do so. That's great and all, but it only means pfSense has an IP address in that range. Doesn't actually mean you can talk to Dishy from your LAN, yet. What we're going to do next is tell pfSense NAT system how to route requests to Dishy's management IP from our network. For those who aren't familiar with NAT, or Network Address Translation, there are plenty of better explanations on YouTube on how it works, but I'll do a very quick dumbed down version of what it does. Now, you've got a public IP address that either goes out to the internet, or it goes through another NAT known as the CGNAT, or Carrier Grade Network Address Translation. CGNAT works much in the same way, just on a bigger scale, so I won't go into that today. When your computer asks for something on the internet, the request goes through the internet through your router. Your router acts on behalf of your computer and any other device on the same network to access the internet. When responses are received, the response from the web server or application online are addressed to your router, not directly to your computer. The important thing your router is doing is keeping track of which computer is talking to what internet service and why. So when it receives data from an internet service, it knows what computer to send it back to. That's your NAT at work. Rules can be made to specify where a NAT should be sending traffic in the first place. What we're actually about to do is tell pfSense that if a computer in our LAN is asking for Starlink's management IP, to send traffic to the subnet that Dishy is located in via the WAN port. Go to Firewall, then NAT, then select the Outbound tab. Very first thing you want to do is set outbound NAT mode to hybrid by selecting Hybrid Outbound NAT Rule Generation. Once that's selected, hit Save, then click on Apply Changes. Under Mappings, click one of the Add buttons. Under Edit Advanced Outbound NAT Entry, set Interface to WAN. Set Address Family to IPv4, set Source to Network, then enter the IP address details of your internal LAN. If you went with the defaults from pfSense or followed my last video, the details will be 192.168.1.0/24. Keep port or range blank. Destination is also set to network, putting 192.168.100.0/24. Again, port or range blank. Under translation, select the address that you created earlier, 192.168.100.2. Once you've done that, enter a description. Again, it could be anything you want. Then hit Save. You'll be prompted again to apply changes, so click Apply Changes to complete the configuration. It is also a good idea to reboot your router to ensure the changes are saved and all the configuration propagates. So go ahead and do that by going to Diagnostics, then selecting Reboot. Once it reboots, you'll be able to access Dishy's stats by going to 192.168.100.1 using your web browser on any device on the network. And that completes the quality of life updates for pfSense. That's it for this episode of Procrasturbate Tech. Go to my channel and check out some of my other videos, including the ones showing up on screen now. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and if you want to keep up to date with my new content, hit the subscribe button. And follow Procrasturbate on Facebook and Instagram with the links in the description.